Welcome to Pest Control Unlocked, your weekly intelligence briefing covering the global pest management industry. I'm Konstantin Schwartz. Today, with the first episode, we're setting the stage for the entire season by taking a look at an invisible engine of the global economy. This is the Hidden Empire, how a $25 billion industry keeps the world running. Before we get into the technology, the operations, the strategy, or even the future, we need to start with something more fundamental. Let's establish where we are right now and why this industry matters more than ever. Because pest control is changing, just not in the way most people think. It's no longer just about spraying for bugs and setting traps. It's about public health defense, supply chain resilience, and mandatory regulatory compliance. The companies that successfully pivot to meet these elevated expectations will be the clear winners in the next decade of value creation. And the companies that understand that shift and act on it will be the ones who define the next decade. So let's start there, with the industry few people talk about, but that quietly protects almost everything we rely on. You don't hear people talking about pest control at dinner parties, but every single day, pest professionals protect hospitals, food supply chains, shipping centers, data infrastructures, our homes, you name it. To truly grasp the strategic value of this sector, we must look beyond routine service and quantify the risk it mitigates. Pest control doesn't just kill pests, it prevents large-scale public health, economic, and operational crises. Termites quietly cause billions of dollars in structural damage in the US every year. Much of it is directly absorbed by property owners. This is the erosion of physical assets, a perpetual drag on real estate value and infrastructure integrity. A single documented sighting of a rodent, cockroach, or even a specific beetle species in a food processing facility represents a very different level of risk. That's not a pest problem. It becomes a compliance, legal, and brand problem. A single serious incident can lead to a multi-million-dollar recall, regulatory penalties, and long-term reputational damage that far exceeds the direct financial cost of pest control. According to the Grocery Manufacturers Association, the average cost of a single food recall is $10 million in direct costs alone. That doesn't count the lawsuits or the brand damage. And beyond the structural risks, you've got public health. Vector-borne diseases like Zika, West Nile, and dengue are on the rise globally. Their spread is accelerated by urban density, international travel and commerce, and climate pressure. Pest management is essential defense required to maintain health standards in modern cities. So if you're thinking this industry is just about bugs and baiting, think again. This is frontline risk management, and its importance is only starting to take hold. So what exactly is pest control in 2025? It's not the old model anymore, not just spray and go. We've moved beyond old methods. Today, the industry operates entirely under the framework of the Integrated Pest Management, or IPM. IPM is science-driven. It's about inspection and identification, exclusion and sanitation, and lastly, a targeted intervention. It treats pest control as a strategic service, not a reaction. This shift is key for investors and strategists. IPM transforms the service from a variable reactive cost to a fixed mandatory compliance cost for the client. The client is paying for a documented system of risk prevention, not just a chemical application. And the ecosystem has broadened significantly. You now have service providers, chemical manufacturers, and regulators, all playing distinct yet deeply interconnected roles. The result is an industry that has evolved into a highly specialized, compliance-driven sector. This isn't just maintenance anymore, it's mission critical. Now let's talk scale. The global pest control market is valued at about 25 to 30 billion US dollars. The US alone represents half of that, somewhere around 12 to 15 billion dollars. And the market is growing steadily and structurally. Forecasts predict annual growth of 5 to 6% year over year. That puts the global industry on track to hit $40 to $45 billion by the early 2030s. And that growth isn't just domestic. It's fueled by increasing demand across the rest of the world. Why is it so stable? Because demand is structural. It doesn't swing wildly with economic cycles, whether it's commercial, residential, or public health work. Pest control is essential. Pest pressure does not take a holiday. And we're seeing it in the numbers. Residential demand is strong. Commercial demand is stable and expanding in sectors like logistics, healthcare, and manufacturing. Even in softer economies, people may cut back on luxury spending, but chances are they don't skip out on health and sanitation. That's what makes this space attractive to investors and why we continue to see strong M&A activity, even internationally. Just look at the recent move by Norway's Tyro Group into the US market with their acquisition of EnviroSmart in Houston. This stability, coupled with reliable structural growth driven by global macroeconomic and demographic forces, makes this space exceptionally attractive to institutional capital, a point we will revisit shortly when we discuss M&A. Of course, strong demand doesn't mean smooth sailing. Operators everywhere are facing cost pressures. Labor is getting more expensive. Fuel, vehicles, insurance are all on the up. Regulatory safety compliance, more complex, more costly, especially in Europe with the biocidal product regulations. So the question isn't, are we growing? The real question is, are we growing profitably? And this is where capability starts to matter more than size. Yes, the big players are still big. Anticimex, Ecolab, Rollins, Rentokil, they all dominate in the global space. Their scale grants them pricing power on chemical procurement and clear advantage in securing massive multinational commercial accounts. But size alone is no longer the decisive advantage. What separates the winners now? It comes down to four key areas: execution speed, smart technology adoption, strategic pricing, and the capability of your technicians. And this is where well-run independents can thrive. If you're running tight routes, pricing smartly, building local trust, and training your team, you can absolutely outperform a national brand. Because what we're seeing is a shift from scale advantage to capability advantage. Let's pull this back even further, and let's talk about the four major outside forces shaping the next 5 years. First, urbanization. Simply put, more people living in cities means more food waste, more infrastructure complexity, and therefore more opportunity for pests. Second, climate pressure. This is driving longer breeding seasons and shifting migration patterns. Rodents and insects are showing up where they've never been before, and they're staying active practically year-round. Third, public health awareness. Since the pandemic, the link between pests, sanitation, and health is front and center. Customers and regulators alike are demanding verifiable sanitation and precise disease vector management. And fourth, data transparency. Especially in commercial settings, clients don't want just assurances anymore. They demand evidence. That means real-time proof of service, compliance reporting, and digital tracking across the board. These trends are turning pest control into a data-driven, compliance-sensitive, and tech-enabled service industry, whether the market is ready or not. We cannot discuss strategic advantage without addressing the regulatory environment. Regulation is often seen as a constraint, but for more sophisticated, capitalized operators, regulation is a moat, a protective barrier against smaller, less compliant competition. The complexity of modern compliance, driven by food safety standards like the FDA's Food Safety Modernization Act in the US or stringent biocidal product regulations in the European Union, demand massive investment in training, tracking, and auditing software. Compliance is no longer an obligation. It is a competitive weapon used to secure and retain high-value contracts. Here's the big picture. 2025 is not just another year on the calendar. It's an inflection point. The low-tech, reactionary service model is being phased out, not by choice, but by market necessity. Think about the forces converging right now. You've got unprecedented transparency expectations, mature market consolidation, accessible low-cost technology, rising labor costs, and ESG shifting from a corporate talking point to an operational mandate. The industry is shifting. We're seeing three fundamental shifts. First, we're moving from volume to value. It's no longer about how many sites you visit. It's about how much risk you mitigate at each one. Second, we're shifting from reaction to prediction. We used to just respond to infestations. Now we can use data to forecast and prevent them. And finally, we're evolving from a simple service expense into intelligence. Clients don't just see us as a bill to pay anymore. They see the data we provide as a core asset for their operations. And that intelligence, powered by digital infrastructure, is the single greatest operational change we've seen in a generation. And this season, that's what we'll be unpacking every week. So that's your intelligence briefing for this week. The industry isn't just getting bigger, it's getting smarter. We're mirroring the very pests we're trying to control, evolving in real time to survive a changing environment. The winners of the next decade won't just be the ones who grow the fastest. They'll be the ones who decode why the rules are changing and adapt before the rest of the market catches up. Next week, we explore the rise of digital infrastructure in pest management, the Internet of Things, artificial intelligence, automation, machine learning, and what's real versus the hype in the smart monitoring space. Episode 2, The Digital Control Tower, and you don't want to miss it. This is Pest Control Unlocked. I'm Konstantin Schwartz. Thank you very much for listening.